Hey y'all, it's Need to Be Watching. I wanted to do this video because I saw this a while back and it's been on my mind since, and with all the recent events, it just came back to my mind. I have always been a fan of Mahalia Jackson. Love her voice and everything. And I remember coming across this video. It's an old video and it was reposted by Larry Reid, but he had a title on this video because in the video it was Martin Luther King, and he was giving a speech, but he was about to say something, and then Mahalia, she just started singing the song Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down, and she just was singing it. Then the whole church came together and they were singing it, and Martin was just like, but he had a subheading on this video, and it said Mahalia interrupts Martin. Then he put in his little caption, I'm sure Martin enjoyed the song, but it just looked like he was getting irritated because she interrupted him. When I tell you that stayed with me, because I'm just like, it's one thing to have this foolishness that both sides want to talk about, but mainly the men, with this whole submission and women knowing their place and all this and that. It's another thing when y'all start trying to incorporate your modern logic into things of the past, situations of the past, the dealings of the past. Because for all you know, what you don't, was she was actually motivating Martin to continue because he used to get nervous during his speeches. I have some clips in here and I'm going to have some comments at the end, but let's get into this because people definitely are showing their tail.
We are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation. I'm not going to say that all of our problems will be solved if the war in Vietnam is ended, but I do say that the war makes it infinitely more difficult to deal with these problems. When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. This is just a fact of history, so that we do face many more difficulties as a result of the war.
Sometimes I'm so tired, and I remember way back in the 1930s, Miss Lee, when the Depression was 29. When I was hardly making $1, 50 cents or 75, I stopped there on the Highway 41 and get neck boned and ham hocks and smoked rib and string beans, and I'm a good cook, and I cook big pans of cornbread. I've seen men that have lost their pride, and I brought them to my house. Didn't know where I was gonna get the next nickel from. But you can't be God-given. And I mean, I would feed those people. Make big old bowls of potato salad. And today, that's my job. When people come to my house, I don't go to theaters, and I don't go to nightclubs, but I do like to have people to come to my house, and I fix them something to eat and have good friends. I like that because that's the way my Aunt Mahalia was, you know. She always had the coffee pot or some tea cakes or something to give somebody something to eat. And I suppose that's the way I am. And I've seen men that weren't able to pay to buy themselves food. And I think that's one of why God blesses me. I have been able to take that 50 cents. People come to hear me, and maybe they didn't have no money, and they maybe they give me 50 cents that night, or maybe they give me $1. It hasn't always been like this. You know that way back. And I can really cook up a mess of food.
I know you're a good cook.
And I'd help them people. And I wouldn't give them no soup either. I'd give them some biscuits and cornbread.
Stick to their ribs.
And beans and stuff. So that something can stick there and hold there for a while, you know. And I hope that time will never get again. I hope that we won't have a depression, that men will lose their pride. Now, this would be a disaster if people have to be out of work. Sometime I'm so tired.
Dr. King had said to me 5 days, as a matter of fact, before he was murdered, he was at my home. He had just finished a strategy meeting on the Poor People's Campaign. And he seemed quite agitated after what we thought was a very successful gathering and discussion. And he said to me, I said, what's the matter, Martin? You seem very agitated. He said, well, I am. Because I've come upon a thought that I don't know how to deal with at this moment. I said, well, what is it? He said, we fought long for integration. It looks like we're going to get it. I think we get the laws. He says, but I'm afraid that I've come upon something I don't know quite what to do with. I'm afraid that we're integrating into a burning house. And when we asked for further clarification, Andy Young was with me at that time, my wife, others. He said, America's lost whatever little moral vision it had. Its moral sense has run away from the nation. And a nation that is not governed by morality and moral principles is a nation that's headed for an abyss. And I think black people have been struggling to get into this system. They've been getting into a system that in the final analysis is a Sodom and Gomorrah. Will not work because its selfish goals, its need for profit, its need for supremacy, its need to be the best has clouded its moral vision. And with no moral vision, no nation can be healthy enough to lead its people anywhere except to destruction.
Do you know that we would not have one of the most iconic speeches of our time were it not for Mahalia Jackson? You don't believe me, it's the truth. Because the truth is, when MLK gets to the Lincoln Memorial and gets ready to deliver his I Have a Dream speech, if you ever listen to that speech, I Have a Dream does not come until the end. And I Have a Dream almost did not come. The reason why it almost did not come is because MLK had his papers in front of him. He was doing what he was doing, and the documentary makes it plain. The documentary that just aired this week makes it plain that while MLK was preaching, Mahalia Jackson was watching. Yeah. And the story goes that Mahalia was watching the people in the back, and the people in the back were leaving, and she says that MLK was losing them. And Mahalia Jackson says, in good black church fashion, tell him about the dream, Martin. And MLK hears her say that, and he shifts the ending of his sermon and talks about the dream. And y'all, I just want you to know that the slow work of her life led her up to influence one of the most consequential moments of the 20th century. Arguably, we may not even know MLK's name if we didn't have the I Have a Dream moment at the Lincoln Memorial. And that moment is sandwiched between two women. It's sandwiched between Prathia Hall, a black Baptist woman preacher, who King first heard use the phrase, I have a dream, and asked her could he borrow it, and she said yes, and he borrowed it and preached it, and Mahalia heard him preaching Prathia's sermon, and when they got to D.C. and MLK is floundering, Mahalia says, Martin, tell him about the dream.
So let's get into this, because I had to stop my breakfast. Like, I'm starting to stutter because I get excited or whatever, passionate. But like, for y'all to make it seem like Mahalia really was overexerting her voice, interrupting him She was motivating this man. The song said Joshua fit the battle of Jericho and the walls came tumbling down. That's a motivational song. That's like a battle cry song. That was her saying, Martin, you got this. Don't get nervous. Go ahead and say what you're going to say. And she obviously felt in her spirit he needed that igniting. And she knew when to do that song. And you could feel the power of everybody tapping into what she was doing to encourage him. And he was looking in awe like, wow, you know what? Okay, I can do this. Because back then we understood community and we understood, the power of uplifting each other. But I feel like nowadays, especially with this gender mess going on, men want to act like women don't know their place when women do know their place. We're just waiting for you to get in place. People want to bring up Michelle Obama not going to the ceremony and say, oh my gosh, she didn't stand with him. Well, guess what? She stayed home. But who showed up? Her husband. Barack was there. When are the men going to show up? This whole time since when Barack was in office, Michelle was getting dragged from left to right by everybody. She was being called Michael. Her womanhood was being questioned, whether she had the kids or not. And then y'all mad because she says she's resting. She said she's resting, and Barack said, it's okay, babe, I got this. I'll show up to represent us. When are y'all going to show up? Because in this instance, especially with Mahalia, all she had to do was she looked at him, she observed his body language. She knew, okay, Martin, don't forget the dream, Martin. She knew when to not say nothing. And he recognized she has my back. She's not trying to overshadow me. She's trying to encourage me. But nowadays, our black women's, our energy and our way of being just ready for whatever is being taken as we don't know our place. When in reality, y'all don't want to step in place. So y'all want us to sit down. Y'all want us to sit down and be quiet because us stepping up and being ready to fight is making you have to step up and y'all don't want to. So we're not going to go because my stuff about to burn. But I really wanted to get into that because I'm like, how do you take such a remarkable moment and make that into some modern gender, stereotype as she interrupted Martin? She did not interrupt Martin. She ignited Martin to go ahead, you got it. Feel this energy that I'm giving to you with my voice. Her voice was a phenomenal voice. Anytime you hear any song by Mahalia Jackson, you automatically feel that spirit. Okay, it's an igniter. So that was my comments. And also just showing that Martin, he was definitely making his way to let us know, you know what, maybe we don't went the wrong way. And it's being shown nowadays that our people have been led into a burning house. And what did he say? He said, then that means we need to be the firemen. But I also felt when he said firemen, he literally meant what he said. The firemen. The men need to put the fire out. The women need to rest. Get your spirit. Work on getting in tune with your higher self and your spiritual self and rest. Let these men who want to be the leaders, let them be the firemen. Let them go put it out. And that is all. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I'll be back with another.